Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star Sports Podcast. It's Friday, May 13th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. The 2022 NFL regular season schedule was released on Thursday evening, and the Chiefs now know who they're playing. Wait a sec. The Chiefs have known who they're playing since the end of the 2021 regular season. Now we know the order of the games and the kickoff times. On today's SportsBeat KC, beat writers Herbie, Teope, and Jesse Newell provide their thoughts on how the schedule shook out for the Chiefs. They tell us where they believe the rough patches are and where there might be opportunity for the six-time defending AFC West champ. After a break, you'll hear from two Chiefs players from rookie minicamp that ended earlier this week. First up will be cornerback Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State. He was selected in the fourth round. Williams is followed by Nazeeh Johnson, a safety from Marshall, who was taken in the seventh round. Okay, let's get started. Well, I don't know about you guys, and by you guys, I mean Herbie, Teope, and Jesse Newell, beat writers for the Kansas City Star, covering the Chiefs. But 6:45 p.m. on Thursday came around, and to be honest with you, I'd stopped caring about the release of the NFL schedule. I knew who the Chiefs were going to play, and by then we already knew a handful of games, including the opener. So I'm not sure what mysteries were there to be revealed. And we talk about the NFL and its hype machine. Probably nowhere more true is it an event overhyped like the NFL schedule release. Is it, Herbie? You've been covering the league for a long time and worked, kind of got an inside view of the NFL schedule release from an NFL perspective. It's really kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's nutty. Okay, Blair, you and I are old enough to remember when we used to just get the schedule release in an email.
Hey, I remember when it came over the fax machine. The schedule would be released over a fax machine, and nobody would rush to get it.
But you're right. They somehow managed to make people care about the schedule release, and it's amazing to me. But then when you think about it, it really isn't, because when you think about the NFL Scouting Combine, a couple of years ago, they figured out, hey, I bet you fans will pay to watch people lift weights. Sure enough, people they said, hey, Combine, you have to pay. And people started paying. Super Bowl media night. People actually pay to watch us interview players. And so, as long as they're getting advertising for these TV shows that the league puts together, and I'll say this, you mentioned, the insider point of view, as most people know, I used to work at the NFL, the NFL Network and NFL.com. We had to schedule a solid week and a half, 2 weeks out before the schedule release. So there's a lot of, you're sworn to secrecy, you get threatened losing your job if you leak it. But they've had it for a while. But they somehow managed to turn this into a giant production, with announcements to the announcements to the announcements. And this year was the first time I've ever seen them do a schedule release on draft night. And then you had to deal with international games. And then we're going to do select games, but we're going to give it to all major broadcasts and let them do it on their morning shows. Look, it's ridiculous. It's the NFL, in my best Therese Taylor voice. It's incredible. But that's what the NFL does now. They somehow managed to turn this into a giant production to think that people care about it. But, I don't care about it. I was like you, 6:45, 7 o'clock. Okay, right. Get it out there, and then that's it.
Well, one other byproduct of the schedule release is the false information that gets put out there. And there was a Twitter account created that picked up 10,000 followers in a short amount of time, basically purposely putting out misinformation, including the Chiefs opener. This website had, or this Twitter account had the Chiefs opening at Houston. And I know that we didn't do anything with that, but other people in media around Kansas City jumped on it, reported it. And, and then the whole Twitter account was false. And then at the end, whoever created this account basically said, yeah, I just did it to screw with you guys. It was just, I did it on purpose because I was bored and had fun. And so many people were retweeting his tweets, but we would just list, week 7, Bucks at Eagles or something like that. And complete with TV and kickoff times, and nothing was true about it. So that's how gullible we all are. And that's the power, of course, too, of the NFL, when it has the, it has the power to entice us with something as meaningless as a schedule release. Jesse, how did you spend your schedule release evening?
So there were some sort of real leaks, if you will, that the NFL was kind of trickling out, and some of the teams were coming out with, hey, here's the home opener against the Chiefs on this day, that sort of thing. So you kind of piece together a little bit of it. But this, I think, goes back to what our old colleague Sam Mellinger always talked about, which is he's not going to tell people how to fan. You know what I mean? And it seems like what the NFL has done, because it has encapsulated the whole year, is it gives people a reason to think about the NFL every week of the year. And while we can sit here and say, hey, the NFL, that we knew the schedule, we knew what teams were playing, we knew this was happening. I mean, all the speculation that was out there on who was going to play who on what weeks and what TV stations and all that, it just lets you know that people are ready for this season and they want to think about the NFL even when it's the middle of May. So again, I'm not going to tell people how to fan. I know there was a lot of excitement for that thing to come out, even though a lot of this stuff was already known. But yeah, I was basically just filling in the blanks because we did know about half of the Chiefs schedule based off of what the NFL had released and other teams had released. And I will say this, if this NFL schedule release gives social media teams like the Los Angeles Chargers a reason to put out an anime video of their 18 opponents, I don't know if you guys have seen this. This might be like, this should be up for an Emmy or something. Like, this thing is so freaking amazing with the details that are in it. And anime coach Andy Reid, it is unbelievably fascinating and giving some very, very talented people something to do and giving me 2 minutes of entertainment when I didn't think I'd have it in mid-May. So again, it can seem silly to some, but I'm not going to tell people how to fan, and people around these parts are very, very excited about the Chiefs, as they should be, because of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and all they have going on in these parts.
Yeah, I did see that Chargers schedule release. It was fantastic. So well done.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So make sure to stop and notice all the detail in each of their opponents' announcements, including the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, hey, and you can actually go into the Google machine and search for previous year schedule releases, because theirs over the years have just been amazing, at least since they've been in LA. So great stuff by the Chargers. A couple other teams did a nice job. I don't think all teams do it. The Chiefs did. Andy Reid and was involved, and our friend Matt McMullen from who works for the Chiefs as their publicity guy, basically. They did a nice job with theirs as well. So, well, let's fill in a couple of the blanks anyway. The opener at Arizona, interesting game. Patrick Mahomes' first game against his old college coach in Cliff Kingsbury. So that was I don't even know the date on that, but I've got it right here.
September the 11th.
Okay, September 11th. So that's it. What jumped out at you, Herbie, about the schedule? But is there a tougher stretch? Is there a cluster of games that look a little bit more difficult than others? What stood out to you about it?
Oh, that first week, the first 7 games of the schedule. Wow. We all knew, from projections and what have you from an analyst, that this was going to be a tough schedule. It's like one of the top 5 toughest schedules in the National Football League of opponents, I should say. But when the Chiefs got their schedule and their first 7 games are against teams that all finished last year with a winning record, and then all of a sudden you're looking at this thing, you're like, holy smokes, the Chiefs, before their bye week in week 8, they're running through a gauntlet of quality opponents. And then all the road games, 3 of their first 4 games on the road. Holy smokes, this schedule here, on paper at least, sets up to be tough. And I say on paper because every year there's turnover in the league, and we all know that. Some teams that weren't good last year, all of a sudden they're good this year. And I suspect that's probably going to happen here again. But when I look at some of the teams on the schedule here, Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Bucks, Raiders, Bills, and 49ers in a row, some of those teams are repeat playoff teams. You're looking at the Bucks, you're looking at the Bills, and this schedule here sets up to be a good measuring stick for the Chiefs, if you will, to see where they are.
Like I said, we knew the opponents. We just didn't know the order of most of the games. You know the opponents as soon as the standings become final for the previous season. And the only difference that the Chiefs schedule, the only places where the Chiefs schedule is different than other members of the AFC West are a couple of teams, right? First, because the Chiefs finished first, and they did so for the sixth straight time in the division last year. They have a more difficult schedule than Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders because they have to play first place teams from other divisions. And this year, that's the Bucs and the Bengals, I think, are the two teams that the Chiefs play that the other three do not. So just by virtue of that, the Chiefs' schedule is going to be more difficult. But, to your point, Herbie, I think I read this. Elias Sports had that the Chiefs are the first team in NFL history to play. Is it the first 7 or 8 against teams that finished with it is 8. Teams that finished with a winning record the previous year. And of course, that's, you have to, again, there's a little caveat here. Last year was the first year of the 17-game schedule. Teams are either going to have a winning or a losing record, not a break-even record. So, the first 8 opponents for the Chiefs, winning records the previous year, first time that's happened. So what about you, Jesse? Did you see anything that sticks out in terms of, degree of difficulty?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to bring up what you said, which is people are going to have to take a deep breath with the Chiefs because they could play well and be 4-4, 3-5. I mean, they could have some bad breaks and be 2-6. That's the thing is all these schedules are not created equal. And, the old cliche is your record is what you are. But this Chiefs team could play pretty well and have a losing record after 8 games. That's just the bottom line with it. Now, things lighten up a little bit on the second half. And we saw last year, same thing with the Chiefs, they started 3-4, and there was some panic, some worry, and went to the downtime. And obviously, toward the back end, had righted that ship and got things in the right direction. And some of the same sort of things. The Chiefs had some bad turnover luck. Patrick Mahomes had some balls that were thrown to receivers that were being tossed back into defenders' arms, that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be really important to sort of separate two things that can be realities at the same time, which is that the Chiefs are a good, but maybe not elite of the elite team without Tyreek Hill. I mean, definitely top 5 team in the NFL, but maybe not top 1 or 2 at this moment. You'd probably give that to the Bills at this moment. At the same time, their record might look a little bit different from that just because it's loaded. And, going back to my KU days, this kind of reminds me, this is why for a long time, those coaches in the Champions Classic, KU, Michigan State, they didn't want to play those teams first. They wanted to play, Southeast Louisiana State, School for the Blind first because they wanted to get a win in, have their record look like 2-0, and then, now you can go play Duke. Now you can go play some of these tougher opponents, and that's just not the schedule that the NFL has offered the Chiefs here. So it might take some deep breaths, some rationalization, some, hey, take a step back, look big picture, that sort of thing, because the Chiefs, it might be a tough go, just like last year for the first few weeks. That might not mean they're a flawed team. It might mean they're a team that's going to have to get wins on the back end or just sneak into the playoffs and see where that takes them, because by the end, they still could be a really, really dangerous and good football team that nobody wants to face in the postseason.
Yeah, the records suggest that the first half of the schedule is going to be more difficult than the second half. But on the second half, they've got a stretch of 3 straight road games, too, in 4 and 5 weeks, which is a little unusual. I mean, you just don't often see 3 straight either at home or on the road. Now, not the most formidable after, the Bills, I think, are the first one of that group. Yeah, and then the Bengals. The Bengals, then the Broncos, and then Houston. So still, I mean, that's a big ask for a team to go on the road for 3 straight weeks and 4 out of 5. Of course, there's some marquee games, right? The Buccaneers, Chiefs at Tampa Bay in week 4. And then a few weeks later, the Bills come to Kansas City. And it'll be the 4th straight time the Bills have played the Chiefs in Kansas City. Bills are probably wondering what in the world their fans have to be just beside themselves. What do we have to do to get the Chiefs to come to Buffalo? Well, it's all the scheduling formula, right? All this stuff is determined years in advance, and it just works out that way. I remember there was a stretch where the Chiefs went to New England about every year for 5 years or so. But how about the Bills? The last time they played the Chiefs in Buffalo was the COVID year. That was the game that was like on a Monday or afternoon or something, and no fans. So even when the Buffalo got the Chiefs in at their stadium, nobody could see it except on television. Trying to think anything else about the schedule that stands out. It ends with 2 division games, right? Because I love how the NFL does that. It keeps the division races interest. If there's interest in the division races, they'll have games in the last couple weeks of the season. Chiefs end up at Las Vegas. I would think that there would be at least a couple of people who cover the Chiefs for the Star that would have preferred to play the Raiders earlier in the season in Las Vegas. Am I right about that, Herb?
You're probably right, because if the Chiefs make the playoffs, obviously, like last year, we were able to get in an extra day and this in Sin City, we flew back on Tuesday. But if the Chiefs make the playoffs and they don't have the number 1 seed, they're going to play the following weekend. So we don't have that luxury. But you know what? Hey, we'll make the most of it. Raiders, the final week of the year. There are worse places to be in January, because it'll be a little warm there at least.
Well, maybe their first playoff opponent will be at Las Vegas, so you can be there the whole week. Just don't even come home. So
yeah, I just have to say, Blair. I mean, I mentioned this that Chiefs fans. It's obviously expectations are high; they should be high, and they've got a really difficult schedule to start with. But just from an entertainment value, I mean, man, this is going to be fun, guys. Like, at Arizona to start, 4 days later, you get home against the Chargers. That's going to be one of the biggest games of the AFC West. At Tampa Bay, week 4, a rivalry, rematch of the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, maybe the last time for those two guys going each other. Week 6, you rematch that crazy ass playoff game from last year at Arrowhead that had the crazy finish with both teams just flying up and down the field. I mean, my goodness, guys, like this is. We can talk about the Chiefs, and I know some of those graphs out there that are accurate, talking about like, hey, you look at how Vegas predicts how these teams are going to be, and the Chiefs are like they're on their own level when it comes to strength of schedule. I mean, like the other 31 teams are kind of in this mismatch, and the Chiefs are like in the basement by themselves because they are facing a tougher schedule than anybody else. But you add in primetime, they're already the show. They're already Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, all that sort of stuff. They're already the main draw. But then you just face them in all these fascinating places with all these fascinating quarterbacks, with all these fascinating coaches, with all these great teams who are going to want a shot at them. And again, it might cause some headaches. It might cause for some losses, but it should be a hell of a lot of fun. I'm telling you. I mean, this is a schedule I'm looking forward to going on the road with you guys and seeing, because there's going to be great games here week in, week out. And once we get to September, it's going to be must-see TV for most of the season.
The good news about the schedule, and I'm gonna invoke my Blair Kirchhoff here. At least 3 of the 5 primetime games are early in the year, Blair. We can get them out of the way, so we're not.
That's fine. Yeah. Nothing makes me sigh more than night NFL games. The older I get, the more curmudgeonly I become when it comes to this. But you guys make good points. Listen, the ratings we're looking at probably a records rating season in the NFL just because of all the good young quarterbacks in the AFC. All of a sudden, there are now when the Broncos play the Seahawks in Week 1, that's must see TV, right? Because of Russell Wilson playing his old team, and anytime Tom Brady plays, anytime Mahomes plays, and now Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and. What's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. And there's just all sorts of great theater and drama for the NFL, and including the release of the schedule. So, all right, guys, let's wrap it up here. And when we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you'll hear from a couple of rookies that participated in rookie minicamp last week. Hey, this is Blair. There are several ways to access the Star Sports section. Let me tell you about a couple of them. There is Sports Pass. For $12.99 a month, you get unlimited digital access to all of the Star Sports content, including beat writing, columns, features, pretty much everything we write. The deal renews monthly until you tell us to cancel. For $159.99 a year, you get everything the Star has to offer digitally, including sports and the e-edition. Go to kansascity.com and drop down to the bottom of the page where it says Start a Subscription for more information. Your support has never been more important. As always, thanks for reading and listening. Welcome back to SportsBeat KC, and let's hear from a couple of draft picks. First up is Joshua Williams, a fourth-round selection from Fayetteville State. He was asked, among other things, about carrying the flag for Division II and historically black colleges and universities in the draft. After Williams, we'll hear from Nazeeh Johnson, a seventh-round pick from Marshall. Asked about NFL players he admires, Johnson selected one from the Chiefs whose team he played in college. Okay, here we go. Here's Joshua Williams.
What do you think? A few days of NFL practice. I know it's not like heavy, hard-hitting practice, but how did you feel like you fit in?
Definitely felt like, I'm getting the hang of it. It's definitely an adjustment. But, working with Coach Mann and Coach Spag, they work with you to make sure you're getting your system. We're going through, all the plays thoroughly. So they're real, motivating and, just helping us all the young guys, helping us out, making sure we're getting the plays down correctly and knowing our assignments.
How overwhelming is it? Like, you've never been to NFL practice. Now, you don't know any of these guys either. I mean, what's that learning curve like over a few days?
Well, there's definitely a learning curve. I wouldn't call it overwhelming just because of the cast of guys we have here. There were some older guys who had been through this process before helping us, and like I said, the coaches, the whole staff, they really do a good job in just making sure you're kind of just getting the hang of everything, knowing where things are, knowing what your resources are, and just understanding, how to get better, how to make yourself a professional.
Initial weekend as a pro, what do you anticipate the biggest challenge is going to be as you make the transition?
The biggest transition would probably be just, making sure, I know what the difference is between, the NFL playbooks and NFL offenses I've been used to, or I see now compared to, of course, college playbooks and college offenses. So, just kind of taking that step up, expanding my mind, expanding my knowledge. But, I felt like this weekend was a huge learning experience, and I think I got better.
When you talk about understanding playbooks and sort of the complexity to it, just how have you tried to sort of just get used to that, knowing that you're practicing so quickly with guys that you're trying to build a relationship on the field?
Right. Well, like anything, most of it is repetition. We do plenty of film work, go over in the film room, and, we have access to all the plays, so going home, making sure I'm getting in the playbook and also rewatching the film, taking notes. That's definitely something I encourage you to do. So when we do come out here, the next day, and we do walkthroughs and install, you kind of have a better grasp of it.
How much of a pride factor was it for you to be drafted out of a Division II school and HBCU as well? I mean, how did you, just what was your reaction to that?
Right. Well, of course, I love all HBCUs, and I'm very proud of where I came from. But at the same time, I know, at this, level, nobody really cares where you came from. It's all about results, honestly. So, I'm kind of just focusing on that, being a professional, getting used to it. Of course, I'm definitely, proudful of where I came from. And, I'm blessed to be where I am and have experienced everything I have. But at the same time, I'm very humble and eager to fit in here.
Anything surprised you over the last 3 days?
Surprised me? I wouldn't say surprised me, but I definitely, expected just the flow of this. Everything is faster here, but that's things they help you adapt to. So, that's not too surprising. I knew it was going to be, faster, more complex, everything. But just like I said, the resources they give you to kind of counteract all the, change that you're going to be going through is, it's great.
One thing that was about the Chiefs beforehand, and what was kind of your reaction to joining the team here?
Well, of course, like I'm sure every football fan does, I was always watching the Chiefs play, especially through the past few years, all the success they've had. So for me to be drafted in this, predicament and be in the situation I am, I'm just blessed and just truly humble, very happy to be here, and I want to come in and contribute anywhere I can.
Last one. Over the past 3 days, is there anything that Coach Merritt or Coach Spag maybe identified in you personally that, okay, as you develop here, let's have you work specifically on this?
We're working on everything. I'm not to say I'm just awful at everything or there's nothing. But like I said, everything's at is completely more complex and at a whole different level. So everything is really just technique, making sure we're doing it their way and not the way we're used to, or breaking bad habits and making them into professional habits and good habits. So
thanks, everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nazeeh Johnson.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
You guys, I kind of asked Jalen this yesterday, and obviously it's a seventh-round pick. There's a lot of anxious moments that occur there. What was it like for you when you got that call from the Chiefs, and how relieved were you to finally hear the phone ring?
It was a very humbling experience because, I started my career as a walk-on, and just to hear my name and my all dreams and aspirations came true. I'm just grateful to the Chiefs organization for giving me a chance to showcase my talent.
Did you spend much time with the Chiefs before the draft?
No, sir, I haven't. I didn't receive any things, but I received some things here and there, but they was just a late thing.
How'd your weekend go? Your first time as a pro?
It felt really good. Everything's moving so fast. It's different from college. I got experience from here and there, what I'm saying? But it's just good just to be here and living in the now, what I'm saying? Taking advantage of all my opportunities.
As you got to the final few picks of the draft, did you have an understanding of, were there any teams interested in you potentially as an undrafted free agent?
Yes.
Which teams?
Yes, sir. I had a couple. I had New York. I had the Rams, and I think the Bengals. You know what I'm saying? But I was actually on the verge of making a deal, and then I got the call, and everything's been history since then.
Was that the Giants or the Jets?
The Giants.
And that was the team
that I was going to eventually sign with if I was going to go and draft the free agent.
At what point did you realize what the expectations were? Did they catch you up on the championship culture and the attention to detail here in Kansas City?
I knew from day one because this is a pristine organization, and they have a great history here. So I knew from day one that you have to be a professional. They don't care if you're a rookie. I mean, you get some chances, but they expect everything out of you, no matter what round you're from.
You had a barbecue yet?
No, sir, I haven't. Haven't had time.
Have they tried to have you sort of learn one position in the secondary so far, or did you get a chance to sort of move around this weekend?
Actually, so I was actually at the nickel position and the strong safety position, so I was learning two positions this camp.
And how much of that is similar to what you did in college?
That's exactly what I did in college. In college, I played free safety and nickel in certain downs, and it's the same thing here. So it's just, what I'm saying, they see my talent and just put me in position the best to succeed.
4.35 speed in the 40. How proud are you of that? And then, do you consider yourself maybe the fastest guy out there in the defensive backs room?
I'm just humbled because I came in high school. I mean, I was running a 4.6 out of high school, so I just put my head down and work because as a walk-on you got to earn everything, and just to be one of the fastest guys in the room means everything to me. So it just shows my hard work and determination because, what I'm saying, there's no excuses. You just got to go get it, take your opportunities.
You entered college as a walk-on. When did they put you on scholarship?
They put me on scholarship the next year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How much have you interacted with just the veteran defensive backs at all, whether it's text, calls,
I haven't really got that information yet. I haven't really got to talk to them, but I talked to a lot of rookies in the room, and they're very cool. And what I'm saying? It's just like close-knit family. I got all their numbers and stuff like that, so it's really cool.
Who are some players that you watch and you try to draw from, and kind of your inspiration?
Sleed, I learned a lot from him because I played him actually in college. And his the way he translated from college to the pros is excellent. So I'm just trying to, I'm gonna pick his brain and learn from him because he's executing at a high level.
What do you like about Legarius' game?
I like how fluid he is, physical. He plays corner, he plays the nickel, so he knows a lot of positions on his defense. So he's creating value for himself. So that's the biggest thing. It's just somebody that learning from who created value, and that's what I'm trying to do is create value for myself.
I have to ask this because he's also another 4.3 guy. So who would win in a race between you and Sneed?
Oh, that would be a good race. But I think I'm more explosive. That's just me. But we'll have to race one day. But he's a pretty fast guy too. I will watch his combine.
That'll do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Thanks to the production team of Monty Davis, Randy Mason, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Tip of the cap to beat writers Herbie Teope and Jesse Newell for sharing their insights on the Chiefs. Great stuff in today's morning sports edition. All the local stories covered, plus national news like the NBA and NHL playoffs. Go to liveedition.kansascity.com for more information. Thanks for listening. We couldn't do this without you. We'll be back on Monday with another SportsBeat KC.